Okay.
Ready to win?
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 17th big debate on the motion, without Christianity, the West will fail. So we're still working out some technical things. That's okay. So, my name's Liam McManus. I'm the founder of Big Debates, and I'm your host this evening, but I'm not your moderator this evening. William will be your moderator this evening.
Started. Actually, one thing I should tell you about is a closing statement, okay? So after the open format, there will be a closing statement. 2 minutes. One person from each side, from the frontliners, and one person from the audience for each side as well, okay? So if during the debate you think, I quite fancy getting up there and having my 2 minutes at the end, put your hand up at the end and I will choose you to come out and be a closing statement person. Okay, so, do we have the vote in the group yet? Has that happened? It's in the group, so everyone get out your phones please. Everyone show me your phones. Open up that group, the Christianity Debates group, and you should see an application. We all have it, we found it. Click into it and you can vote for, against, undecided. Give you a couple of minutes to do that. Okay, everyone, show me your phone. If you have already voted, please show me your phone so I can get an idea. Even if you're listening or not as well, it gives me an idea. You either haven't voted or you're just thinking, Will, shut the fuck up. Okay. Alright, let's get started then. So we will start with the full motion. First up, we have Charles. Charles Chung was China-born, US-raised. He was voted most handsome by the Nobel Committee, but humbly turned down the award.
And smartest and most compassionate.
Oh, wow, there you go, guys. But he didn't turn down that one. Okay, round of applause for Charles, please.
Hello? Hello? Everyone hear me? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So tonight we're going to be talking about Christianity and why without Christianity the West will fail. So I understand a lot of you here tonight come from a Chinese background. And China, of course, religion is not a big deal. But let me tell you, I grew up in the States. And the key difference between the Western countries and China is that religion, especially Christianity, has been a foundation of the Western civilization for the last 2,000 years. Ever since Emperor Constantine of the Roman Empire, Christianity has been a dominant religion in Europe. From the popes to the churches, Christianity infused every aspect of life in the West. Tonight, we're here in the middle of December, and everyone's already seeing the Christmas atmosphere around us. That is the celebration of Jesus Christ's birth. It is the most important holiday in the West, and just goes to show you how Christianity is used in every aspect, from holidays to the language, to the names that people give their children. They're all from the Bible, from biblical names, to the city's name, all from the Bible, to the holiday, to the music that people make, to the arts, to the greatest thinkers, philosophers, scientists who came from the West. The vast majority of them were Christian. And even today, maybe our opponents will tell you that with modern society, Christianity is no longer important. We have science. But what is the difference between science and spirituality, or morality? Even if you have science, it does not encompass what people do for moral value, for spiritual calling. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy, it talks about our basic needs such as food and shelter. At the very highest top of the pyramid is the spiritual need, something to give life meaning, something to pursue for higher calling. And Christianity has been that for Western countries for the last 1,500 years. To give people a purpose, to tell them to love their neighbors, to tell them to forgive, to give people strength at their biggest time of need, for the people who've done terrible deeds, to give them another chance to be forgiven and to be rebuilt. That is the power and significance of Christianity in the West. Without Christianity, it would be as if China or Eastern civilization or Chinese civilization all of a sudden lost Confucianism. And we've seen some of that during the Cultural Revolution. The country went into haywire. It nearly brought destruction of the entire Chinese civilization. And that is what losing Christianity would mean to the West. Without Christianity, there is no longer the moral foundation that supported Western civilization for the last 1,500 years. And even if you look at the West today, there are many issues that demands a spiritual calling, demands higher powers. You look at shootings in the United States, the violence in UK, Britain, the increased social and income, economic inequality. How do you bring people together? How do you heal those who are struggling, who are addicted to drugs? The single parents, the children out of wedlock, the ethnic tension. All of that cannot be done by science. It needs people to have higher purpose and to be able to care about others rather than simply pure self-interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Timed it perfectly as well. Very good, very good. Where did I put mine? Okay, so first up for the against side is Charlie. Charlie hails from Sydney, where she is currently a law student, self-described as very curious, and has set foot in all 7 continents. Round of applause, please, for Charlie.
Can't copy my name, but...
Alright, my mother gave me my name, so I didn't really copy that one. That's okay. So, first of all, we are not saying that people don't have the right to their own individual spiritual beliefs. Second of all, we're not saying Christianity is bad. If you want to believe in it, go for it. We're not saying that. We're saying that it's not necessary for the success of Western civilization. So there's a few points I'd like to address first of Charles. And first of all, Christianity is indeed the foundation of our society. But what happens to foundations? You build on top of them. Like the foundations of a building, you keep building upwards. While it has been dominant, that does not mean that it needs to continue to be dominant. What is the norm by majority does not mean that it needs to be, appropriate in the future. So, numbers don't lie. Statistics don't lie. And we are seeing a global reaction in decreasing belief rates, especially in Christianity. In America, we're looking at 75%, and that's probably the highest in the Western world. We're looking at under 25% of the millennial population in Sweden and Denmark believing in Christianity and actually going to church. Majority of people lie going to church. So we're talking about Christianity as an institution, as practices in society. There was a Harvard study done recently, and it found that when social security goes up, so do you have shelter, do you have education, do you have healthcare, the religious belief actually goes down. So when we're talking about the West failing, we're not seeing any evidence of the West failing or currently gradually about to fail. And yet Christianity is going down. So when Christianity is going down and the practice and belief of it, and yet our society is improving, what does that show us? regarding crime, okay, so let's talk about moral beliefs, all right? I think we need to address that. If we define immorality as causing harm to other people that you can avoid, we have to talk about crime, right? So, as Charles mentioned, crime is a very large issue in the world, and we see a lot of reported school shootings. But did you know the crime rate in America has actually halved since 1993? It's reduced by half. And this is an FBI and a Bureau of Statistics reporting. So it's actually quite a common misconception that crime has gone up. Perhaps the media has reported it more. We see more of it. But statistically, crime has halved. In talking about morality also, we need to talk about children out of wedlock. Now, children out of wedlock is only an issue if the children are worse off. If the children have less opportunities and the children have worse educations than being raised. But children in Sweden who are born out of wedlock, which is now over 50%, don't have any disadvantages compared to their peers that are born into a family. And so, when we're arguing about spirituality today, everyone can believe in what they want. Whether it's an Eastern religion, whether it's a Western religion, you can believe in what you want and you have that entitlement, especially in a globalized age. You know, many Australians might believe in teachings of Buddhism. Many, Americans might believe in an Eastern religion and vice versa. We don't need to rely on Christianity to give life purpose. We do not need to rely on Christianity to give life meaning. And so, if Christianity said you have to be nice to your neighbour, would you not be nice to your neighbour if you weren't Christian? So while it was a foundation 2,000 years ago, when we didn't have governments and society and a globalized world, it might have been necessary. But now, to the Western civilization, is it really necessary for the Western civilization to not fail? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Charlie. Okay, up next for the four side is Irene. Irene is from Singapore. She's a headhunter who loves philosophy and psychoanalysis. Round of applause for Irene.
Give me, I'm gonna look at my board because I haven't been set up. So can I start?
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're talking about what without Christianity the West will fail. So we have to give some definition of this topic. The first is, what is the West we're talking about? The West, as I looked into Wikipedia, that we can see the West culture, and we call it the West. It's often found as something as Western civilization, the Western world, the Western society. It's a term loosely used to relieve a heritage as social norms, ethical values, traditional customs, belief systems, political systems, and scientific arts and technologies, but not just on the things that Charles' arts can be. And the second one is what we're talking about is a religion. As a religion, it's not as logical that we're thinking about. Religion is something, according to Emily Durkheim, he said it's more of a feeling of absolute dependence. And then we're talking about another one thing is what is that without Christianity something. It's called like without Christianity, Western civilization will be materially altered, so it does not survive anymore. It's something like without Confucians, without all these traditional Chinese cultures, what it will be in China, what it will be like, what is the uniqueness that bring us together and bring us aside from Western culture. Throughout the whole history, the Christian church has been a major source of social services like schooling and medical care and inspiration of the art, and is a kind of affect to Western attitudes to vice and virtues in diverse views. It has over many centuries propagated the technologies, the teachings of Jesus with the Western world as well as throughout the other nations. And also festivals like Easter and also Christmas are marked as a public holidays. Like what the calendars were used as the geographic calendar has been adopted internationally as the celebration of Jesus. And also, the existence of the moral absolute is what we call an important idea of our Declaration of Independence, as Charles has brought up. This is brought up by the Christianity, but not any other form. And also, we took into like the as noted by the American academic Samuel P. Huntington 20 years ago, the great division among mankind and the dominating source, conflict, will be cultural. That we are all sitting here protecting is fighting our culture and fight defense. What is the culture itself? And also the culture, like Western culture, is characterized by the Middle Eastern Christianity, including the Roman Catholic Church and Orthodox Church, which played an important part in shaping Western civilization at least since 4th century. What we're talking about is 2,000 years of history and 2.3 billion of people. And the teaching of Jesus, such as the parable of the Good Samaritan, are among the most important for novel notions of human rights and also for the welfare system, commonly provided by the governments in the West. In relation to teaching about China, Rickman asked, how can you explain the influence of Nietzsche upon the Luxing to students in China who have never read Nietzsche? It's the same thing that we have to ask about ourselves. The clash of civilization. The question must be addressed to making Western civilization unique, and also what aspects of culture are most worth defending for. As we're celebrating Christmas right now, and the spirit of Christmas embodies many wonderful qualities. It's love, sharing, tolerance, hope, and peace. And may the Christmas spirit be a positive influence of your lives throughout the year. And also, my celebration of Christianity's role in shaping the great social changes comes from the social polarity. If the West gives up Christianity, it will also endanger the integration value that Christianity brought into the world. And the end of Christianity will mean the systematic erosion of values like equal dignity and equal rights from both religions and secular people will cherish.
Thank you very much. Okay, next for the against side is Mark. Mark is American and likes to improve himself through honest discussion with people he disagrees with. I think you're in the right place. He wants to know why people believe what they believe. Whilst he may never understand, he will never stop trying. Mark.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm still going to use the microphone.
Okay, tell me when my time starts.
Whenever you start talking, I'll start the time.
Hi guys, my name is Mark, and I'm debating against the motion that without Christianity, the West will fail. This is simply not the case. The development of Western society has not come because of Christianity, and it will not fail in its absence. You make an excellent point, my opponents make an excellent point that Christianity has played a role in the development, as many of the people who built the society claimed themselves as Christians. However, what was their alternative? If they were deist, or atheist, or agnostic, what punishments did they face? They faced crucifixion. They faced, I'm sorry, not crucifixion. They faced torture. They faced torture. They faced excommunication, separation from their families. They faced punishment at the hands of religious authorities. I do credit religious groups in the past with having advanced civilization. The Quakers in the United States pushed the abolition movement of slavery. They pushed slavery to end. They were a minority group, in fact persecuted themselves. However, would they really be needed if Christianity hadn't promoted and justified slavery to begin with? There's entire chapters of the Bible dedicated to how you should have slaves. I don't think that in our enlightened society, if Christianity were to disappear, we would go back to owning people. Copernicus and Galileo observed the heavens and reported their findings. Who was it that bullied them and pushed them into recanting their theories? It wasn't the secularists. It was the religious authorities. Could you imagine how fast we would advance our civilization if those same authorities took their findings and spread them to the world instead of shutting them down? Women have suffered at the hands of the church. We've only advanced when we've stopped enforcing religious doctrine as social policy. If you're a woman here and you're speaking, that's because we've moved away from that model. Even today, in our enlightened age, in American schools, they face the continued obstruction of science education by, I'll grant it, a minority of religious extreme organizations. While most people today accept and respect gay and lesbian people, it's Christian groups that are at the forefront of persecuting them through denial of marriage rights and the horrors of conversion therapy. There may have been a time when a rigid set of divine commandments was necessary for holding a society together, for getting people in diverse groups to live peacefully with each other. However, that doesn't represent the world we live in today. It doesn't represent the West, where moral foundations are built in our common humanity, are built in secularism and humanism. We improve ourselves when we tolerate each other, when we allow each other to have different beliefs and discuss them and disagree openly and honestly. That's how the Western world was built. And that's not going to go away if Christianity does. People can arrive at a strong moral foundation simply from acknowledging each other's humanity. If we understand that our actions affect other people as their actions affect us, we can build a very sturdy, strong, and robust moral system without the need for Christianity. If we acknowledge that every single person in this room prefers living instead of dying, we've agreed. If we prefer that we agree that being healthy is preferable to being sick, well then we've just agreed on a standard. We don't need anyone to tell us. If we follow this standard, as we have in the past, we have no need for Christianity to have a thriving, Western, successful culture.
Thank you very much, Mark. Now, thirdly, for the 40 is Kevin. Kevin Wormsley is from Florida, USA, and his occupation is hiding as much money from his ex-wives as possible. Kevin.
Good afternoon. I want you to imagine a civilization of over 1 billion people who from the time they were children were taught that God created everything in the world and that God loves every person in the world. And that God commands you to treat other people the way you want to be treated yourself. It's not enough to just take care of your neighbor. Everybody takes care of your next door neighbor. Jesus described the neighbor as somebody you do not like. Somebody who is an enemy of yours is also your neighbor. Suppose you have 2 billion people who believe for 1,500 years that slavery is a great moral outrage and wrong. That it's fine to go to war against your own family to set slaves free in a different part of the country that you're living in. What if you believed that integrity and honesty was so important that you could do business with another person, a total stranger, with just shaking his hand? You don't need a written contract. You don't need lawyers, sorry. You don't need people to introduce you to somebody else. You can take somebody you've never met before, and with a handshake, that is a deal. And you must obey the terms of that deal. Imagine how much easier it is to do business in that civilization. Imagine how much poor people are taken care of if you see a poor person not only as somebody who's in bad condition, somebody who's had bad luck, but somebody who you believe God is telling you to help. What would it be like if there were a few billion people who believed that rich countries had an obligation and a requirement to take care of poor countries. That even if countries go to war against each other, the Christian countries are supposed to rebuild the other side. And as soon as the war ends, we're supposed to go in and build the hospitals again, build the schools again, build the roads and highways again, and get that other country back up on its feet. Feed them. Take care of them. Educate them. Now, imagine also that you have a civilization of people who believe that your talents are to be used not only to entertain, not only to drive mankind forward with knowledge and science, but that you are supposed to use that as a form of worship. Michelangelo, Rembrandt, the Mona Lisa guy, strong Christian believers. What is it when Sir Isaac Newton, who invented calculus, Lavoisier, the father of chemistry, Mendel, they believe that they have an obligation to understand the universe that God created. And as Christian believers, their responsibility was to understand it better. That is science. That is art. That is the literature. 500 years from now, they will be playing Beethoven and Mozart. Why? Now, imagine that same civilization of people, 2 billion, the Western world, stops believing those things. They no longer believe those things anymore. Do you think that would be a better world? Or do you think it would be a worse world?
Thirdly, for the against side is Keith. Keith Williams is a man who believes the future is no more scary than the past, and people who worry too much aren't much fun to hang out with. Keith.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Keith. I just wanted to mention someone earlier on mentioned that everyone in the West has a Christian name. I'm very proud not to have one. My name is Keith. It's a pagan name. It's a great one. And I want to start off by talking about Christmas. A few people brought up Christmas. We're here. It's Christmas season. Merry Christmas to everybody. I love to celebrate Christmas. I was raised in a Christian home, a very fundamentalist Christian home, Baptist, American Baptist actually, even though I'm Canadian. And so I was brought up believing everything that's good about the world, everything's good about my culture, my civilization is because of Christianity. That all the failures, all the bad things in society is because people don't believe in God. Like I was brought up in an environment. I don't share any of those beliefs. And I want to mention about Christmas. I was brought up and told, you know, Christmas is about Jesus Christ's birth. But actually, if you do some research and you study some history, Christmas, a lot of its traditions predate Christianity. Even the idea of having a celebration midwinter, that's a Roman pagan celebration, all right? Celebrating the sun, God of the sun, or the Son of God, which came to be, or the birth of the Son of God, or the Son's birth. A lot of our traditions, Christmas trees, you see them up all over Shanghai, right? You see the Christmas trees up. That's a pagan German tradition, all right? That's got nothing, I mean, in the Bible, they're not, you know, putting up Christmas trees, you know, when Christ was born. They weren't putting up Christmas trees around in Jerusalem. They didn't have those trees or putting up decorations. So a lot of things about Christmas actually has nothing to do with Christianity. So I just wanted to bring that out. We wouldn't have Christianity if it was for Christians. In fact, the only group to ever ban Christianity in the West were Puritans. And they banned Christmas were Puritans. And they were very, very strong Christians. So I don't think really Christmas has much to do with Christ's birth at all. It's kind of a lie we've all been told. And as far as this debate about the West failing or the West will fail, the last debater up, he was very imaginative. He had a great imagination about the future. And you're going to have an imagination to think about the future, whether it will fail or not. You know, they have that old saying, things that go up must come down, right? I mean, every culture, every civilization can fail. I don't think it's failing now. All the evidence would point to the contrary. Everything around me, from the microphone I'm holding, the to the phone that was in my pocket in my voting booth, to the lights on the ceiling, to the TV screens, to the computers, to the clothes I'm wearing. These are all Western things. So it's around the entire planet the West has influence. I don't think we're failing. Another thing I like to look at for the West to see if it's failing is immigration, right? One of the places a lot of people like to move is the West. It must be pretty good. I don't think it's a major failure on the horizon. And it was already mentioned that as Christianity has fallen off, that West has done better and better. We've had 400 years of progressive growth. And it wasn't because of Christianity, all right? Maybe some of the first scientists, the first people in the Enlightenment believed in God, all right? When I was a kid, I believed in God. That doesn't really change what I believe today. And over the last 400 years, we see a continual progression in Western societies, political systems, monetary systems, economics, science, technology, education, etc., etc., etc. And at the same time, we see a general fall in religious belief. So actually, the evidence we have is that falling belief in Christianity has no detrimental effect onto whether the West is winning or failing. In fact, we're winning better, perhaps because Christianity is failing. Oh, wow. That's happened really, really, really quick. Let's see. Thinking about Christianity and whether societies are winning and failing, there's lots of Christian countries around the world that aren't necessarily beacons of not failing. For example, Romania is a very, very Christian country, not really doing the best. Mexico is a very Christian country, lots and lots of problems. I don't really see the connection between Christianity and winning and failing. And China's a good example, because China's definitely winning these days, and it's not built in Christianity. All right? So, thank you.
Okay, excellent. So that brings to an end our opening statement stage. Now, frontliners, now is the rebuttal stage. So is there anything that you guys want to address in particular with what people said in their opening statements? Okay, Charles, go on.
Hi. So I just want to set the story and data clear on a lot of what our opponents said. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of things, so please be patient with me. Let me start with Charlie.
Only a couple of minutes.
But they said so many things.
Key points. Key points.
So one thing I want people to understand that what we're talking about, first of all, is that Christianity has been at the center of Western civilization. We're not claiming that Christianity has been responsible for all that's come out of the West. We're not saying that Christianity is perfect. We're not saying that everyone in Western countries must believe in Christianity. I think our opponents have made some of these points. What we're saying is that fundamentally, Christianity is so infused with the West that without it, it would not be the West would fail. Just as China, without Confucianism, would not be China. Okay, now let's look at some of the statements made by our opponents. So, free will. So, if you look at free will, actually everyone in the West has the freedom of religion to believe in whatever they want. In fact, despite the Christian, and maybe because of the tolerance of Christian beliefs, that in America, in many UK, there is a fundamental, preservation of freedom of religion. You could be a Muslim, you could be a Buddhist in America, and you would still be treated well by others, including many Christians. And in the opening statement, our opponent Charlie actually made a point that Christianity, yes, she conceded Christianity is the foundation of West, that you build on top of foundation. Now let's think about this, foundation. Yes, you build on top of it. Yes, you can make things better and better. But this is a foundation. If you take away the foundation, everything comes crumbling down. This, we should...
Anyone will come back on that one?
Yeah.
2 minutes, real 2 minutes.
No, yeah.
2 minutes, you got 2 minutes.
2 more minutes.
No, 2 minutes. Gotta keep it moving, it's okay.
So, everyone in the West has the freedom to believe in whatever they want. So why are people choosing not to subscribe to Christianity? Why are people choosing not to believe? Furthermore, we did agree that Christianity has played a foundational role once upon a time in society. And you know what? No one can deny that. No one can. Because we're looking at, in the 1980s, in the 1990s, US of A had a population of, 85% believing Christianity. But what's at the foundation, what's at the core of society now, has changed. Because over time, things do change. And secularism and the global transition into the new age, we have the fourth industrial revolution. You don't really need these beliefs anymore for the West to not fail. Did you want to address something?
Yes, please. The issue of tolerance is something that I strongly value, that I tolerate a person and I accept that they believe something different from me. I may very much disagree with their beliefs, I may attack their beliefs. We may argue over it, but I respect that person's fundamental right to exist. The history of Christianity does not offer that. It hasn't in the past, and it continues to not do so today. In the founding American, in the foundation of America, if you know anything about the Constitution, there is a, quote, wall of separation between church and state. That was famously made by, as a statement by Thomas Jefferson in a letter to a concerned citizen. The concerned citizen was worried that their religious beliefs would be persecuted when the state established a religion. He assured them that absolutely not. There will be a separation between church and state. I think that's wonderful. Now, the irony is, who were they worried about being oppressed from? Another Christian group. Christianity has not had a history of tolerance that you seem to make this fantasy about. They continue not to tolerate people of different sexualities. If you look at hate organizations, groups that despise and dehumanize people based on their skin color, they are exclusively Christian.
That's just not true.
Not exclusively. Go ask Christopher Cantwell. Go ask Richard Spencer.
That's not a Christian organization. You can't just make stuff up.
Let's move that forward.
Is the Ku Klux Klan a valid organization? Am I making that up? What are at the core values of their doctrine?
Christianity is not a core value of Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah,
It absolutely is. When people watch this on the video, they will see you saying that.
Tell me where exactly in Ku Klux Klan do they refer to how Christianity teaches them to hate people, please. And there are so many. What about Red Cross? What about Salvation Army? What about those who protected Chinese people from Japanese in World War II? What about Christians who hid the Jews from the Nazis? What about all those
Whoa.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so you want to go
jump in there.
you look at the 1%, you look at the outliers. Of course, Christianity is perfect. Nothing is perfect. No religion, no idea, no ideology, institution is perfect. If you want to look at humanism, secularism, we're still talking about. What about World War II? What about colonialism? What about slavery? What about apartheid? Guess who was at the forefront of ending all those? Christianity, Christian groups were at the forefront of ending apartheid. Guess who ended opium war?
Okay,
Because
so
Christian groups went to
come back on
the
that then.
British Empire and told them, look at what you're doing to the Chinese people, this cannot go on.
Okay, I'm sorry. In 1929, the Vatican, the Pope, made a deal with Mussolini and Hitler that in exchange for them forcing all of Italy and all of Germany to believe in Christianity, they would allow the Nazis to rise. And that ended up in World War II. So, how did so many Nazi criminals end up in South America after World War II? There's a concept called the rat line. And so who has the resources to allow all these war criminals to escape? So not only do the Vatican, and now they've apologized for 50 years, saying, oh, you know, like, we're sorry we let that happen, we're sorry we let that slide. No, the Vatican Church actively protected and supported this ideology of fascism that led us to World War II.
No,
So Nazis not
persecuted.
being Christian?
Christians were heavily persecuted during World War II. A lot
Sorry,
of them were killed.
did you just confuse Judaism with Christianity, or? So,
Look up your history. Jews, a lot of people got killed in World War II, including a lot of Christians.
yeah, a lot of people got killed in World War II.
So
We're not denying
how
that. But also, in 1929, the Lateran Pact. So that's history, guys.
Stalin killed 100 million people. He was an atheist. Should we
Yeah.
blame you for that?
He didn't do it in the name
the
of
problem is,
atheism.
again, people, you need to look at the overall. You can't just look at the outliers, what happens.
I guess Hitler was Christian too, so
Yeah. That's what I want to say. What religion do you think the Nazis were? And the people of Germany? Germany is the homeland of Protestantism.
One at a time, guys.
Right? Germany is the birthplace of Protestantism, half of Christianity. All right, it happened in Wittenberg when Martin Luther nailed the proclamation to the church door. And Martin Luther was a vicious anti-Semite that wanted to get rid of the Jews.
This is just like law. The reason Germany committed all those crimes, it was at the lowest point of religious belief and faith that they committed atrocities of the World War II.
More people believe in God back then than today.
And
we're not killing each other.
A lot of the points that my opponent is raising, they're confusing a fundamental concept. There's an issue of institution and issue of faith. What we're saying is a Christian faith. Faith is about the morality, about higher beliefs. Yes, people are flawed. People can take anything of good ideal and turn it into something disgusting. But that doesn't mean you throw away all the faith, all the ethics, all the spiritual foundation that has been at the center of Western civilization for so many years. Because that has also powered through a lot of the innovation, a lot of the changes, a lot of the good that's come out of the world. So if you look at the world today, what about the huge income inequality as people focus on their self-interest, focus on greed? What do you get out of life without higher meaning, without spirituality? Money, house, a new car, a hot wife and a bunch of girlfriends on the side?
Let's move this one forward then. So on the issue of morality, does anyone else want to come in?
So
go on, let the guy in the red come in, and then you can come back.
Okay, like about morality and stuff. Like, you don't need Christianity for people to help each other. And people who have strong religious beliefs, they're easy to get radicalized and consider other people who doesn't agree with them that they're totally wrong and they don't have the right to express their thoughts and feelings and like to share their point of view, like you just did. So when you believe too much into the religion, and like religious people, they're really easy to get radicalized. We have Islam, we have Christians who like fight against gay people, who fight against black people, all the minorities. Like what he said is like, I believe that. Like most of the groups who really hate people, they have strong beliefs into the church, and they go to church every Sunday, and then like they help each other within the church, within their community, but they are strongly against any other people with like opposite views outside of their community.